Hey guys, how's it going? I'm so excited today. We are doing a comic chat with my new favorite comic artist, 19-year-old comic phenom, Morgan B. Herron, the creator of Frankie B. Monster, published by Cosmic Lion Productions. That name should sound familiar to my viewers. And I just read it this week, discovered it fairly recently. It is so good. I really enjoyed it. I am so happy to get the opportunity to talk to Morgan B. Heron today. So thank you for joining me, Morgan. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for getting in touch with me today. I appreciate it. Sorry, just a little nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. I know. It's funny because sometimes like if I'm interviewing somebody, I'll go like on YouTube or and look for like other interviews they may have done, and there's very little out there for you, but you're at the very beginning of your comic book career. So this
Sure.
is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm so happy to bring everybody your first major comic book interview.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you. Like I said, I really appreciate you for reaching out and reading my story. That means more to me than anything that you actually read it. So,
well, it was a good book. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I try to go in with like realistic expectations. I mean, the art blew me away. So that's obviously a good draw. I mean, as an artist myself, it's always been about the art for comic books, but I allow for story too. I'm just kidding. It has to have a good story. I mean, comic
for
books
sure.
are visual comic book storytelling. So, I mean, it's so nice to not only have somebody of your age to be a comic book fan, but a creator too. So how did your comic book journey start? How were you introduced to comic books? What made you like them? What comic books did you read when you started reading comics and all that jazz?
Gotcha. I'll try and give you the condensed version so we're not here for too long. But I grew up in Tennessee, Cookeville, and it's a very small town. Well, not super small, but like it is the comic book desert. Like there was only one shop, but I didn't even discover it till my sophomore year of high school. So my venue into comics were cartoons, movies. I mean, my generation grew up with like the Marvel movies, but before even those were starting to get big, I was watching a bunch of cartoons like Spectacular Spider-Man on they were playing reruns on this former Disney, or I think it's still on, called this Disney channel called Disney XD and stuff like that, and like other cartoons and stuff like that. And I always like loved cartoons. In fact, my first ever comic cartoon was the Max Fleischer Superman cartoon on DVD that my grandparents gave me when I was very little, and they would play it for me when I was sick. So like it was kind of like that, like kind of comics and pop culture were like in my interest from a very, very young formative age. And then I discovered comics with comic strips like Peanuts, Garfield, Foxtrot, and like old newspaper clippings. Both my grandmothers gave me, because it was just something to entertain me with and to read. And I was related to a bunch of those characters, especially Linus was always my favorite character in Peanuts. In fact, I actually still have some blankets from my early childhood myself. So I can relate to them for sure.
Yeah, the Snoopy is near and dear to my heart as well. So
Yeah, well, funny, I should actually mention that because we'll get into
that's funny.
it. Hmm.
Um, So that is kind of interesting. So, wow, that's so cool. What a great introduction with the Fleischer cartoons, because I mean, arguably, that's so old school. And it's funny because I was thinking, like, in preparation for this interview, it's like, if, I mean, if that's your introduction, that's a damn good introduction. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because,
weird introduction. Very great. I'm so thankful for it because like I have always had an appreciation for old cartoons because there was this channel called Boomerang that Cartoon Network put out where they would play old Hanna-Barbera reruns. So even when I was in like second and third grade, I was getting introduced to like Space Ghost and like Dexter's Laboratory, Scooby Doo, like the original Scooby Doo, and all kinds of like incarnations of that show, Jabberjaw, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, like all of that old like kitschy 60s 70s cartoons like have kind of been in my I guess my DNA for a little bit, and I always
yeah,
still that stuff.
Yeah, I think that the Hanna-Barbera's Super Friends was my introduction to Wonder Woman, or if not the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, and still
Yeah.
is one of my favorite Wonder Womans. I love Hanna-Barbera so much. I love all of their cartoons. It's like people talk about the low quality of their animation and stuff like that, but it's like I love it so much.
Yeah.
Um,
And you don't notice it when you're like really little, and it's still kind of like it's amazing when you're very little. You kind of don't like pick up on like some flaws here and there until you get older, but it's still pretty fun stuff, you know.
Well, it's like I was thinking about, it's because Fleischer was just like revolutionary, I mean, the stuff that they did was just like so beautiful and timeless. And so I can see why that would appeal to somebody. But I'm wondering, like, maybe you just have a better appreciation for it because I'm wondering if somebody's like first introduction to Superman was like Jim Lee's Superman Unchained or something, like how would they feel about looking at, like Jerry Siegel and Joe
Joe Shuster.
Shuster's I mean, and it's like you were introduced to Marvel like through the movies, and you grew up with the movies and stuff. I always wonder like that has never it doesn't seem to parlay into comic book sales though. Like
Yeah,
I always feel like if there was like spinner racks in the lobby of the movie theater, would people be scooping them up after the show? I don't
maybe
know. You know
not,
what I mean?
probably not, in all honesty. But like then like people want to trash talk comics and be like, oh, I don't care. I don't have to read a comic book because I can just watch the movie and it's just like, well, where do you think you're getting these intellectual properties from? It has to come somewhere. The business, like, I don't like the idea that comics, or at least even the big two, is kind of being relegated to just being an IP farm. But like people are consuming, cinema without realize, like the superheroes, cinematic universes without realizing that, oh yeah, this has source material. You like there's a over 90-year-old history in it. I don't know. It kind of bothers me when people say that because it just kind of seems a little ignorant because it's just like, well, it had to come from somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
You know.
I know. I know it's like well, it's like like when a movie based on a novel comes out, like it always helps the sales of the novel. It always does. You know what I mean? I wish
Yeah.
that would help comic books as well. So what comic books were you reading? Or what like did this inspire you to draw? Were you an artist first?
Yeah.
What made you want to make your comics?
Yeah, of course. So after like I was growing up with like, these newspaper strips, I then discovered that like through these like cartoons and movies and stuff like that, that oh yeah, there are comic books with these characters in them. That's where they came from. And then I was learning like, Stan Lee's name, but then not knowing the history behind Marvel and stuff like that. And then, wanting to get more like I was actually more of a DC person though. Like I preferred DC over Marvel when I was into like big two stuff. So I gravitated towards like Batman. Like my first Batman comic that I read in middle school in I went to Books Million and I just read it because I would be left well not I wasn't left there, but I got to stay there for a little bit. So I would actually read it like I was in the library. And I read The Court of Owls for the first time, which was cool by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And because that was during that time, DC was starting to do their Rebirth universe in like 2016. So like I was in middle school and then I discovered like the Court of Owls because those were just paperbacks at Barnes Noble at the time, and Books a Million stuff like that. And I read that to tatters, and I still actually have my volumes of that New 52 run on my bookshelf. And I think for a long time I actually wanted to be Greg Capullo because like I'll even like some of the nostrils that I draw even to this day, like he does this weird like swooping thing that kind of looks like a lightning bolt on the nostril, and like I still catch myself doing that for whatever reason today and stuff like that. But and then I would later discover Sean Murphy, who I really love. Like when I read Batman White Knight, that was definitely one of those first seeds sown into me wanting to like write and draw all of my material myself, which was really cool. And there was even back matter, conceptual sketches. I would copy that stuff from Sean Murphy and stuff like that, and it was yeah.
Well, you must have had a heart attack when I reviewed your book and I compared you to a young Sean Murphy
No, yeah,
then.
yeah. When you said you met him, like that got me. I was like, oh my gosh, like this dude knows, this dude knew Sean Murphy. Like I do that. Like there, I'm starting to meet so many people now that have met him. Like my professor, or not my professor. There's a professor that works at MTSU named Professor Doug Dabbs. He actually is a comic illustrator. He did this 5 issue miniseries that came out just this past year, and the trade is actually has released this month, called Click Click Boom. His name is Doug Dabbs. Really great guy. He's actually the reason why I'm here at MTSU in Murfreesboro, because I met him at his comics workshop, and he was very encouraging, gave me some good pro tips, told me about Heroes Con, which is where I met Eli this last year. So that was my first ever comic convention, which was cool. And yeah, and hopefully soon I'll be having classes with him. Right now I'm doing like general education stuff and foundations in art. So eventually, when I get to my junior, senior year of college, I'll be taking those advanced illustration and comic classes with Professor Dabbs.
Cool. So your very first comic book convention, and you meet the person who's going to publish your comic book. That's pretty
Yes.
fatalistic right there. So I'm assuming that means that you must have made the transition to indie comics at some point. And
Yes. So it was definitely, I think, I don't know, because I think White Knight, because I was starting to read a lot of Batman. I was starting to read, more like Marvel DC stuff, but like, I don't know, some of it was just boring to me. I just wasn't interested. I don't know, it just felt very, not derivative, but just, I don't know, it just felt, I don't know, I just fell out of love with it. It was just a taste that I didn't have for anymore, and nothing like excited me to even want to make a comic. Because even back then, I was also reading comics to learn how to make them. Because even Stephen King, such a great writer, he's even like, writers read. And so if you're going to be a cartoonist, ideally, it's like you're not going to be some guy who's never read a comic book in your life, right? So like I was trying to find stuff that was like motivating me to continue to make comics, or it was just at the bare minimum just fun to read. So I then discovered my local library my freshman year of high school, and realized, oh, they have a comic section too. And then over the next couple of years, I was still like trying to read some Marvel and DC stuff, still wasn't in it, still wasn't sure about indie comics, till my friend Paul Fortner, he was like, dude, like you need to read Hellboy by Mike Mignola. If you read no other indie comic in your life, read Hellboy by Mike Mignola. And I was like, are you sure? Because like I wasn't like a fan of his at some point. Like he was kind of in my peripheral vision. And Paul was like, yes, you absolutely do. He's great. He's fantastic at composition, lighting, staging, stuff like that. Like you should check it out. And there's just great lore to it. Like I think you would really appreciate it, especially since you like to draw monsters and stuff like that. I was like, okay, fine, I'll check it out. And then I did. I fell in love with it. The first story arc, Seed of Destruction, like it was good enough that I read The Wolves of St. August. And once I read The Wolves of St. August, I then just shotgunned the rest of the run at the library, which was a fantastic and magical experience. And then I was starting to like copy even like his style afterwards and stuff like that, till I kept kind of fluctuating in like my artistic taste and ability. And also I was starting to take more art classes and learning some concepts like composition, rendering, uh, just other foundations in art in high school, stuff like that.
So when are you working on paper or digitally? How are you making your comic book?
Yeah, so let me go get my portfolio and show it off. So here is some of the stuff from Frankie issue 1. A second. So I'm mostly traditional ink on paper. This is 9 by 12, not 11 by 17, because there was a certain point where I just felt like I was wasting space on 11 by 17 and not getting the most out of it. So also I was trying to, I couldn't find some printers that could scan 11 by 17. So it just seemed like 9 by 12 is the way to go for now at the moment. Who knows? I might try working on like 10 by 15 or 11 by 14 or something like that. just because 11 by 17 still feels too big, unless if I'm doing like a pinup or something like that. But like, this is just the size I'm comfortable at the moment. But yeah, it's all ink on paper, brush pens, and tech pens, and other inking implements as I've started to kind of grow as an artist.
There's your very own artist edition right there.
For sure. I will have to part with these pages though soon. I do plan on selling these uh, at Indie Comics Creator Con, but every issue I'll be keeping a page or two. So
Do you really want to do that? No.
I mean,
When do
I don't know. I mean, I mean, there's
Eric
a part that
Larson?
kind of
Eric Larson
doesn't.
has every page of Savage Dragon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's kind of hard for me to kind of think that way because like on one hand, it would be great to own everything I've ever owned, and I don't know, like it would be great, I guess, for my ego, and then when I have kids someday or whatever, they can appreciate it or something. But at the same time, it's like there's going to be someone who's going to appreciate my original art and my pages more than me, And I don't know. I think if I can make money off of it, then maybe I should. And also, someone is paying money for it, meaning they're going to appreciate it more than me just holding onto it forever. So as long as I keep like one or two pages that mean the most to me, that issue, I'm cool with parting ways with some pages.
Yeah, okay. But like Wendy Pini from ElfQuest, they saved like every single page of art and now they're like on display in like a college somewhere so you can go and like visit the original art and
I will
everyone can
definitely
enjoy
ask for
it.
like emails and stuff like that, like some contact info if I ever want to track them back down again. That's for sure because I don't want to lose track. But like I said, if someone can get more pleasure out of owning my pages than just me holding on to them forever, then by all means, have it.
That's true. And it is a good source of income for, artists as well to sell
It's a
their original
big
art.
one.
So
It's a big one nowadays, which is great. That wasn't always the case. I mean, I know I'm 19, but I've been told by like older folks in the industry that like that wasn't always the case. And it's good that now we're taking advantage of it and people do want to buy it and or at the very least look at it, which I don't know. It just from my perspective, like it feels like that should have been done sooner, but at the same time it was always looked at as commercial in production art. So I guess that might have been a big reason because they only saw it as like it was a means to an end to get the printed book done. It's not necessarily like the sacred tome that we kind of think of it like today.
yeah, they're like horror stories about the way physical art was treated back in the day. So I won't bore you with them,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, thank God we do now appreciate them just in time for everyone to go digitally and have there be like but I guess it's good because it's making original art even more scarce and more valuable
Yeah.
in a way. So, you know,
Yeah. I mean, it's the I don't know, like it definitely reminds me of like a warmer technology, I think, because now that we're going into a digital age, like it's like people thought a lot of people I knew were freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna have a job, AI, or like iPads or whatever, it's gonna take over. It's just like, well, first off, digitally drawing on like Procreate, it's just a tool, it's a means to an end, it's a preference, it's fine, but like I think that there's still a lot of people that want to see like humanity on a page if the creator chooses to do that, and it's definitely a choice for me because I like drawing with ink on paper. It's just a pleasure thing. It's not necessarily like, oh, I think I'm better because I draw traditionally or whatever. It's just a preference. I like working that way, and the moment and even Professor Dad's told me this, and he's all digital now, but like he even said, even when you scan original art into like a scanner, it technically still becomes digital art because you're turning it into a digital file anyways. So if I can draw everything traditional, scan it, color digitally, letter digitally, it's fine. It works. It's a means to an end. It's preference.
so
So
the colors on Frankie Boy Monster are obviously amazing. I'm sure you get a lot of compliments on that. So
I
how do you
have. I have.
approach color or
Ooh,
because it's
that's tough.
interesting because I'm so glad that you just showed me like the black and white stuff because as much as color is your friend, like it's so solid without it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't need it.
Hmm. I do appreciate that. For me, like coloring, it's not something you do for the sake of doing it because I feel like for so long it's just been a sales tool. Like it's like this comic isn't going to be worth jack if you don't color it to like a certain group of buyers or people because comics are still a commercial medium, and I think some people do look at color that way where it's like, oh, it's black and white comics are not good comics, and like I don't believe in that. Like I do want to do a black and white book, very much so, but for me color is for especially for Frankie, it it's about like when I draw, I'm drawing like, lighting, staging, stuff like that. Like that's like the atmosphere, that's directing. And then color is like you're laying a soundtrack to a movie where it can add to certain tones and beats. So like if I put down the base amount of atmosphere or, whatever and lighting in my line art, then when it's paired with certain colors, it can create different moods, effects, emotions, stuff like that. And also like the pop and the vibrance of it also speaks to that um, uh, all ages thing I have going on with Frankie, where it's about just pure fun. Like to me, Frankie Boy Monster is it's another Saturday morning cartoon. It's just a lot of fun. That's why there's like three short stories in the first issue. It's like this track of like an episode where there's multiple stories in one issue or episode that you get to enjoy, and it develops the character. And also, I was doing short stories because it kind of helped me grow as a storyteller. Because I hear, you hear some good advice for like younger people like me is like you start small and then you grow uh grow bigger. I've never had like that. I mean, well, I think I might have had that trap where like I tried to think about it like super big, but I'm glad people told me to start doing short stories because it just became more manageable, and now I get to just grow the characters more organically with that kind of setup.
It's funny because hot on the heels of finishing my big anthology, like for years people have told me that, well, and I guess sales reflect it, but like anthologies don't sell well and people don't really like anthologies and blah blah blah. But I love them. I think there's so much merit like in a short story. I love what you did. I love the short story aspect. I think you're right. It does work well for a children's or all, I shouldn't say children's, I should say all ages because I'm not a child and I loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's cool. The
yeah,
all ages
because
was just an accessibility thing for me too. Like it wasn't just like I don't know, because on one hand, Frankie Boy Monster, the audience essentially is like this 10-year-old version of me. Like I made it for 10-year-old Morgan Herron. You know, I didn't make it for an audience or whatever. Like I'm the first audience, and I kind of did it for like my inner, for lack of a better term, like my inner child. I was just having so much fun. Like I'm sure you could the parts that were like comedy in it. I was just trying to make myself laugh. And
right.
like I'm like, and I think that's the best book you can hope to make, where you're happy with how it turned out. You're happy with what you made. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I think I think that should be the goal, because then maybe someone else will respond to that, and inadvertently then they become your fan. You know.
Well, what I found, in interviewing people and just making comics and reading comics, I feel like one of the huge motivators, and it as it should be for making comics, is a lot of people want to make the comics that they loved reading themselves, and
Yeah.
it seems like you're definitely doing that, and I think you can't lose in that situation. You know what I mean? It's
No.
like you how could you possibly guess or cater or pander to your audience? Like half the time you don't even know what your freaking audience is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can't find your
Yeah.
audience. They have to find you. You know what I mean? It's
Of
like
course.
it's like I discovered you. I don't know, I must have seen your stuff peripherally, but then like I noticed you know, your little picture Instagram or whatever is obviously that page from Frankie Boy Monster, and
Yeah.
um I just liked the art style, and I discovered the book and I'm so glad, like it's so good. um I don't even know where I was going with that, but I feel I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, just that's something I keep hearing more and more is like, like your audience does find you, and you're gonna build it, and they're gonna respond to your work, but it's just that matter of like patience. You have to keep putting in the work, keep doing the work for. If you're especially an indie creator, like there's not enough money in art or comics to not be making what you want to make.
Yeah.
There really isn't. I say this as an indie cartoonist and a college art student. Like there really is not enough money to not make what you want to make and put out there. So just
Yeah,
do
I
it.
think there's like such a cultural shift right now in comic books and like 100% the way to go. It's so funny because I just went to the my comic book store this morning and it's like there are so many books out there and so many of them are not good. I'm sorry to say, especially from, like the main publishers. It's just like oversaturated with this like I don't know. They keep trying to like they I feel like comics were better when they just made the comics and you could buy them or not. It's like they spend too much time trying to figure out what the audience wants and like giving the opposite of that. And all the art just like kind of looks the same. And like, you know what like if you pick up three different
No,
X-Men
I
books, they're like okay, like it's not bad,
yeah,
but
it's the status quo.
yeah, and it's like that's like someone like you, that's why the indie comics are so great right now. It's like your art was memorable to me, like it stood out. Like I kept seeing like your little avatar or whatever, and like it made me want to find out what it was about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of course I'm like a cat with a toy and the bright colors, but
Yeah.
hey, whatever it takes to draw people in, right?
For sure, for sure. I mean that cover, like I designed it specifically to catch people's eye. Like I knew like if I went with that bold yellow and magenta with like Frankie's green figure in the middle ground, I figured it would stick out to people. And it has. I mean, from what I've been told, like Frankie's been doing pretty decently. So hopefully I'll be seeing the money coming soon. Um very excited for that because that also I've kind of growing up in Tennessee, there was definitely this attitude of like, oh, artists can't make money or whatever. I can't wait to finally get paid for this so that I can be like, hey, guess what? I'm an artist and I made money, just to say that I did, and to show people that I'm willing to do this thing, it's what I love doing and what I'm going to continue to be doing, whether I make millions of dollars or not. I'm not in it for the money, but I definitely want to prove people wrong that like you can make something up. It doesn't have to be astronomical. It doesn't have to be Ninja Turtles or whatever. It doesn't have to be that massive, but you can make something out of making art and comics.
You absolutely can. 100%. I mean, not everyone, but it can be done. I think that, it's like everyone I think that like I do my channel for like to create comic positivity. And that's probably why I have such low ratings because people want like the doom and gloom, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like I think if it's like I have see other YouTube channels that every day are talking about the death of comic books and it's like I
yeah,
guess that's like the clickbaity stuff you need, but I'd rather be on the forefront of like I've unofficially declared 2024 the year of the comic book comeback.
yeah.
I know that's very self-serving because I have a book coming out this year, but hey, I just
I'm ready for a great 2024. I'm working on a Frankie issue too, and I got some other ideas. So
what is the plan for Frankie? Like ongoing
it
limited
is ongoing.
series?
It is
Yeah,
ongoing.
that's good. I think that's great. Like I said in my review, I had just seen this thing from Mike Mignola not too long ago where he was like, it's great to work for Marvel and DC. It's like do that, have fun with that, blah blah blah. I'm so paraphrasing, by the way.
Oh yeah,
But like make up your own thing and like do something for yourself. And he did that with Hellboy and I think it worked out for him. So I
it did.
think, I mean, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein when she was 17. Here you are with
It's
Frankie Boy
crazy.
Monster at
I was actually thinking
18.
about that too. I was thinking about that too. I was like, oh man, I I owe so much to her because because she created this thing at a very young age based off of I don't know these ideas that she had, and yeah, I think she was 16 when she made it. Yeah, when she wrote
Yeah.
writing
I
stuff.
mean,
Yeah,
and this may not be like your Hellboy or your Frankenstein or your
yeah,
whatever, but it very well could be. I mean, it's part of your
yeah.
history. It's part of your, I mean, this is, I think you're a good example of like a great start to like a great way to start your comic book career. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so amazing that you
It was
put out
really good.
this great comic book. It's great that you have, the support of Eli and Cosmic Lion Productions.
He's awesome.
He's very he's amazing. Like he will take care of you like nobody else will. Um, you know, and like I'm so happy. Like just keep making good comics, and like you're gonna people will see your talent. They have to.
For
I
sure.
mean, so but you said the buzz is good around Frankie. You're happy with
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that like ki- okay, kids do love Frankie. Kids do love Frankie that have read it. Like I've had so many friends in college and that have gotten to know me, that have wanted to buy the book, that have bought the book, that they read it, they enjoyed it, but then their younger nieces or nephews or some have nieces nephews, some have little brothers and sisters, little cousins, whatever, that then get a hold of it or borrow it, and then they're like they read it in a sitting and they're like, well, where's more? Can we get another? Like, when's the next one coming out? Like they think it's this thing that's going to come out like monthly, or like or that they can buy like scores of it at like their Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and like that's good to hear. But then it also makes me feel bad because it's like I can't make it that fast and good, yeah. But we'll see.
I know
I'm looking forward to it.
that's funny because it's like I don't know, like everyone's, decries monthly comic books and I think that like I just loved monthly comic books. It gave me a happy reason to go to the comic book store every week.
Yeah.
Um so
I
like
unfortunately can't do it at the moment. I mean, I drew Frankie actually pretty fast, but I did it very fast because it was going to be my last ditch effort to make a comic book. I have probably 60 or 80 comic pages that will never see the light of day before Frankie. In fact, I actually got some if you wanted to see them, but yeah, it was this last
sure.
ditch. Yeah, it was this last ditch effort to make a comic, somehow get it out there, or shut up about making comics and give up. It was do or die time. So I drew all 24 pages of Frankie Boy Monster issue 1 in 4.5 weeks before I left for school. And then when I drew the last page, the day after I finished the last page, Eli hit me up and said, "Hey man, do you still need a publisher?" So it was very interesting how it all came together.
Well, I do want to slap you a little bit for like that defeatist attitude at such a young age. You have no
Yeah,
idea the
yeah,
ups and downs you will see. But if it took you to a place of completion with your first comic book, then hey,
yeah.
I guess
It was
whatever,
fun.
we all have our own different set of motivations.
Yeah. So this was when I was working on 11 by 17, and I'll try and, but let's see. So I was working on this caveman comic called Club and Arrow,
Wow,
which is
that is
about,
really cool.
thank you, which is about a caveman and his son set in, I guess, this uh dinosaur kind of fantasy land. But I don't know. By the time I got really exhausted doing this, and by the time I finished it, I don't know, I don't know. I felt like I couldn't draw a second issue of this. But also my style was a little bit different at the time, and I think I was also trying to this is not how I've been wanting to draw for a while. My style at where it is now is how I want to be drawing now. So I think there was also I was trying to cater even artistically then, which I guess was maybe part of the draining bit because then I felt like this was a chore, but I still finished it just to finish it. I was gonna try and put it out there, but it just kind of fell apart. And then I tried making the next thing, which was the portfolio I showed Eli, and then that got me on his radar, and then that got scrapped, and then I made Frankie, and now like I'm comfortable with my style, and I love that. I love the concept that I've come up with. I can't. I'm working on issue 2 right now, and I'm really excited to get back to some pages soon. But yeah.
It's also nice to see someone doing so much sequential art, because I think a lot of people now just want to do like pinups and covers.
Pinups. Yeah, for sure.
That is so cool. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this should never see the light of day. You might want to just put it. It's funny because
maybe I'll redo it as a one shot someday. I don't know. We'll see.
But because one of the things I was thinking about too is like like Alex Ross, I once read, like, when he finishes something, he puts it away and like doesn't look at it for like 2 weeks. And I think that's like so smart, because fresh eyes, like, because like sometimes I'll draw something and I'll think it's freaking amazing, and then I look at it in the morning and I'll be like, wow, that's a bag of shit. And then sometimes I'll really hate something, but then I'll put it away and then I'll come back to it and I'll be like, you know what, that's not so bad.
I actually do look at this page, and it's still one of my favorites, this one right here, but it's probably the only one I'm still kind of proud of. But
I mean, I'm seeing such great storytelling, the great negative space, the spotting of blacks, just the flow is so good. Like, so good. Like, if it was a chore, it paid off.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I feel like there's a fine line between like hard work and play when you're making comics, because like you do want to work hard, but also you do want to not feel like you're not having any fun. And at first, this was a lot of play till I got like halfway through it, and it just felt like a chore. And now, like making Frankie, I don't know. There's definitely some tough spots that I have to draw and stuff like that, but it doesn't feel completely like a chore now, and it's so much fun, and I get to enjoy it. And no one's like telling me what I can and can't do, which is also kind of nice. But also I do have friends that I do have that I do get good feedback from, though, so I'm not just left to my own devices, because I actually was about to completely start over a couple of pages from issue 2, and I shared it with my girlfriend, who's a writer, and she was like, no, like, you don't need to change that, because she, like, there was this thing that I was working on for issue 2, and I felt like I was not trying to give away something from a story away. It was, I don't know how I can talk about it without giving it away, but basically I felt like I drew something wrong that would have messed up its continuity. But then she was like, well, if you want that to be a surprise, then leave it as is. And she helped me avert a mistake, essentially, for next issue. So I do have people that I do talk to about my stuff.
I was gonna. That's your secret weapon. That's your secret weapon right there, data writer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's very. I mean, I've only been dating her for a month and a week now, but yeah. I definitely now pick her brain as much as I can. So yeah.
I know there are very few people, like, art is so personal, and so like there's such a like a mind, like an emotional set of baggage that comes with it. And it's like, I hate sharing my art with my friends. They never give me any feedback at all. They'll just be like, that's nice, and I'll be like, no, whatever. And like when somebody like sends me art, I'm like, I love the way you did that tiny dot in the corner. They're like, oh, that's dust. I'm like, but I'm giving you my critique here. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but then again, it's like so as long as it's good people who are giving you good advice and not, trying to sabotage you or something. But
for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And like, I'm of the mindset of like, you don't need a million friends. You just need a few good people in your life consistently to both like not only encourage you, but also tell you when you're being stupid, or like, this isn't good, but this is good. Keep that, whatever, like a tightly knit social garden,
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't talk to people or go to events or whatever, and I'm antisocial. But I value the opinions of the people that I let into my garden. So
Well, being a cartoonist means being able to be comfortable with spending a lot of time by yourself. So
for sure.
For sure. Um, so you said you were working on pages right now. Is that Frankie issue 2 that you're working on?
Yes, yes, issue two, and then a couple of pinups for other friends' books coming up. I did one for my friend Ethan Bronco. Shouts to him. He's awesome. He's going to be having his debut comic come out soon, called Crowman, the Cro-Magnon. It's a
Hmm.
barbarian comic that he is working so hard on, and it looks stunning. Like he's grinding it out right now, and it's putting some pep in my step. And I'm just like, all right, if he's putting his all, I better be putting in my all right now because he will blow my issue two out of the water with his one shot, which is looking amazing. So I did a pinup for him for the back of his book that I think he plans on self-publishing it, and some other books too, like Adam Lemna, the creator of Relic Hunter. He is working on issue two of Relic Hunter, and I did a pinup for that. So I actually wrapped that up last night. I posted it on Instagram today, so you can check it out.
I actually
Also,
saw it before we talked, and it's really cool. I
cool.
really like it. It looks great.
Yeah, yeah. Let me pull out my other portfolio book that has issue two and those pinups in it. And oh yeah, other pinups for some other books coming out that I can't talk about yet, but I will be able to soon. Actually, I'll go ahead and show off the my issue two cover, if that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, the main
Oh my
feature
gosh.
is going to have a werewolf story, and it's actually going to be the longest story that I have written and drawn so far, but it'll still have three stories. So one 26 pager, a 4 pager, and a 6 pager. So this issue in terms of story will be 36 pages as compared to last issue's 24. So and I'll
Very
try to
cool.
flip through without spoiling.
The cover looks awesome.
Then some sketch cards. Let me get to the pinups soon. And then here's some monster pinups for another project that I can't talk about yet, but just that I've been drawing a lot of monsters lately. Here's the Joroguma from Japanese mythology, and then a mummified pharaoh.
I love it. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That is so
Of
cool.
course.
I love it.
Visual aids can't interview a cartoonist without showing some stuff off. Yes, painting of ultra mega and
Yeah.
gouache.
Is this part,
What
was
have you
that
found?
part of the portfolio that you showed Eli?
No, no, it was not. Let's see. So here's Crowman for Ethan. He's really phenomenal. I was very honored that he let me do a pinup for him. And then here's that Relic Hunter pinup that I finished last night. Him
That
fighting the
is
dead.
so cool. I love that. That is awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think, yeah, that's about it in this portfolio. This is the issue two slash other miscellaneous pinups portfolio book. And then I have my other one that is just issue one, and then the pinups and fan art that I've done in that. And then I have a bigger one that I keep some other stuff in, like some school projects, stuff like that Baby Groot one that I drew, and some other stuff. Uh, yeah, and I'll have a lot of art on sale at Indie Comics Creator Con in March. So whenever this goes live, I do have 3 commission slots for that. If anyone wants to hit me up, and for any of those, we can discuss details and whatnot. And actually, can I show off? Ethan and I did an art trade, and this is going to be an issue two, along with some other pinups. This was my first ever piece of original art that I get to own of my character not done by me, and it's phenomenal.
Wow, that is so cool. That looks great.
Ethan's great. You should check his stuff out. Him and Siraji, they're amazing. They're great. Siraji is the creator of Fourth Dimensional, which
Uh-huh.
I have a pinup in the back of his book, or the trade paperback, which is really great. Big honor. He and I did an art trade, so that's why I have a pinup by Siraji in issue one, and then Ethan will have a pinup in issue two. So, and it's in if you go to his Instagram, you can find this in color. But yeah, I keep this in a portfolio book, so that's why it is not framed yet. I will be getting it framed soon. So, Ethan, if you're watching this, please don't be mad at me. This will be getting framed soon.
It's beautiful. I know. That's
Yeah,
so fun. That is fun, like to see other people draw like your art and stuff like that, and to do like this
absolutely.
fun collabs and stuff. I'd love to color your art sometime. Take a crack at it.
Oh,
It
thank
looks
you. Thank you
it
for which making that pinup for that will be an issue too. I really appreciated that. That was
Yeah,
that
it was,
was cool.
I couldn't not, nobody's asking me to make pinups, so I just forced them on people. I'm just kidding. But yeah, like what a great character. It's so much fun. Like the
Thank you.
future, the future is bright for Morgan B. Heron and Frankie Boy Monster for sure.
I
When do you
really
think
appreciate that.
do you have any idea when the second issue will be out? I don't even, when did the first issue come out?
The first one came out kind of weird. So I got my first Cosmic Lion has this thing where like you get 20 or so copies before it as you know the creator yourself before it officially comes out on the website. So basically my book debuted late October like I wanted it to because I wanted it to be a Halloween release.
Yeah.
So and the books officially landed in Tennessee for some people that ordered by knowing me. On November the 24th, which was actually my birthday, which was pretty cool. A bunch of my friends here in Tennessee got my book on my birthday and got to read it, which was pretty cool. That was a good Christmas present. I mean, birthday present. Sorry, Christmas on the brain. So yeah, it did debut in October. Because I'm in school and I have other responsibilities and stuff like that. Like I am chipping away at issue 2, and I'm looking to have it ready by late March, early April, but I'm halfway done drawing it, and also like the coloring and lettering is the lettering is not the draining part. The most draining part of my process, honestly, is the coloring. Just because like I'm staring at a screen for a while, it takes a lot more out of me than just the drawing. So we're aiming for late March, early April, and if not, then late April, early May. So that's the time frame I'm kind of looking at. So.
Yeah, I hate lettering so much. Eli actually lettered some of our books. So if you're ever in a pinch at he might not want me to say that, but I'm just
Yeah, no. I don't mind lettering. I don't mind lettering at all. It's the coloring is like I love coloring, but like it is draining to do digitally. For me personally, it is draining. But like I said, I do love doing it, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm glad I get to color my book. And I
yeah.
wouldn't, and not that I wouldn't want anyone to color any of my work. Like I wouldn't mind seeing like Siraji actually colored my pinup for Fourth Dimensional. He did a great job. Like I do like other people coloring my work, but when it comes to my sequentials, I kind of want control over it. So
That makes sense because, well, I mean, just obviously your thought process, you talk about staging and setting the pace and stuff, and color is so important to storytelling.
yes,
So, yeah, it's true. Like, if I know it's interesting because, it's like, I think of like Nick Cagnetti, who reminds me of you too. He's this great up and coming cartoonist. He's super talented, does it all, does his own coloring. His coloring is like freaking amazing. And his
yeah,
book is Pink
Pink
Lemonade
Lemonade.
is all ages too. So it's kind of nice to see this crop of like talented cartoonists doing good for the industry. So
Yeah.
congratulations on all of
Thanks.
your current and future successes.
I appreciate it. I really do. It's been a lot of fun. It feels like a pretty cool debut. Not that like there's a million eyes watching me, but like it feels good to know that like my work is now getting out there and I'm putting in more work. And if there are some people paying attention, great. If not, whatever. I'm still gonna like rock and roll and do my own thing and continue to work on my stuff. And because I love making stuff. I hope to leave behind like a fun legacy and a body of work that will be here after I'm gone someday. So
Yeah, you just need the cartoonist kayfabe guys to look over Frankie Boy, and
gosh,
and you'll be set.
for sure, for sure. Man, I got to meet them for the first time at HeroesCon, which was really great. I'm especially like I love Ed Piskor's work because uh, I think also he might be a reason why I went indie. But I read X-Men Grand Design when I was in middle school, and I copied it front to back. So I was aware of Ed Piskor, but I wasn't aware of Jim Rugg. So when I discovered Cartoonist Kayfabe during COVID, and I was starting to make my own comics, I was like, wait, the X-Men Grand Design guy? What? He has a YouTube channel? What? Really? Okay, cool. And then like, I got familiar with their work and stuff like that. I got to meet Jim Rugg, have him sign like my 2 issues of Hulk Grand Design and my trade of Street Angel, and I got to buy Octobriana from him because like I really wanted Octobriana because of how fun and vibrant it looked. Like it looked so cool and it was so much fun to read. And yeah, it was
Act
really great talking to them.
I think Octobriana is my favorite Jim Rugg comic book just because of the colors and the art.
It's so
Yeah,
wild. It's
yeah, I
so
love
I
it.
need to buy a black light so I can actually enjoy what it was designed for. But like, so good. I kind of want to print Frankie in a fluorescent inks after reading that book, but I don't know. Well, maybe not.
No,
I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
something else
no,
would be cool.
I 100% have like a black light book or something in my future because I love that aesthetic so much. So for sure,
So cool.
100%. Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here, but it
Awesome.
was so nice to talk to you. I
Thank you.
like I said, I jumped on this the review of the book because Cosmic Lion was doing their New Year's end of the year sale, holiday sale. And it was
Yeah.
a perfect opportunity, but it's still a great opportunity, even though the sale's over, to go to Cosmic Lion Productions and scoop up your copy of Frankie Boy Monster because it is so
Absolutely.
good.
Or
And
the PDF, which is only $5. So if you can't afford the printed book because of whatever, there's still that digital like PDF because I want this thing as accessible as possible. That was something I made very clear to Eli when I first joined. Like if people can't afford the printed book, I still want them to be able to read it because there were even people from like New Zealand and Denmark that were following me on Instagram that wanted to read the book. So yeah, if you can't afford the printed book, then get the PDF, and we'll be doing that for every issue. So, you know, yeah, there's multiple ways to read it on Cosmic Lion.
so yeah, there I will put a link to Cosmic Lion in the description and whatever other links you want me to put in. But
Awesome.
you said you'll be making some con appearances.
Yes, my first ever con debut will be Indie Comics Creator Con on March the 9th in New Haven, South Connecticut, with Cosmic Lion. I'll be tabling at the Cosmic Lion table with Adam Lemna, Kevin Anthony Catalan, and some of the other CLP creators. Tony Wolf said he will be tabling there too, or he'll be going to the con. We'll see. But yeah, I'll be with the CLP crew and other indie creators, which would be really, really cool as a great first debut. But yeah, if you're listening and you want to go, like hit me up and we can connect, or you can commission me. And I have 3 slots open for that convention's commissions. So yeah.
Well, you're in good hands and good company, and you're gonna have so much fun at your convention. And I encourage everyone to seek you out, follow you on Instagram, look at all your great work, buy your comic book, and
Yeah, buy Steel Streets 8 because I also have a pin up in that too, which was an honor. I really like Madi's work, and you should also pick that up for sure.
oh yeah, for sure. That's another great indie cartoonist. Anyway, well, thanks so much for talking to us, Morgan, and we all look forward to your Frankie Boy Monster issue 2 coming sometime in 2024. And keep on keeping on with all this great comic work. And thanks so much for talking to us today.
Of course,
Anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
just keep making and reading comics.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit like, and I'll bring you more later. Thank you.